here at Lock 11 and 12 in Camelford on the Trent Severn Waterway, just at the bottom of the lock actually. Here you're looking up the overflow channel to my right here, directly ahead of me. Pretty spot, one of my favorite spots to come to here in town. Thankfully it's not really busy lately. It's all good. You know, today I'm going to talk a little bit about identity. I don't think people understand the meaning of that word, the significance of it when we're talking about identity documents. You know, I get people talking to me or send me questions on the emails and comments about, you know, what does this word mean? What does that word mean? People, y'all got access to the internet. Do you need me to do your homework for you? Come on, just Google it. Tons of dictionaries out there. You know, when I got onto this path, I went out and got a whole bunch of dictionaries, including the second edition of Webster's, because I wanted to know the meaning of words, especially going back, you know, back in time further and further. But yeah, so when I talk about identity, God, glorious day, wow. It's like the 90th, 80th day of sunshine. Oh, beaver. Beaver muskrat, I'm not sure. He didn't flap his tail. Over there's a provincial park. It's it used to be a provincial park. It's been taken over by locals in town here. They look after it now and maintain it as a park people can camp. There's a stellar boat launch down here. Really pretty spot. Hopefully I'll get some video there maybe in the fall. But, you know, some of my friends, they got letters from the Office of the Attorney General here in Ontario, basically stating that as far as they're concerned, you and the name are one and the same. So a fetus comes out of mom's womb and name follows afterwards, and somehow those two things, that, you know, the baby and the name become one and the same. But that's the thing, is to understand that's their perspective. And it's one heck of a perspective, but it's also one heck of a simpler, easy to rebut presumption. I mean, how can a flesh and blood being be the same as a name? You know, letters, symbols on a piece of paper in a computer system, for heaven's sakes. But that's how they see it. So it's good for us to know that, I would say. And I told you about my son and his court case back in 2010. And I said when they call the case to walk up there and just tell the judge. Say it out loud in the court, you know, just for the record here. I'm not John Paul Smith. The name is John Paul Smith. Keep my son's name out of this. Here, so there's more of the that park I was telling you about. Just doing a little circle here for you. Pick the table. Here you're looking downriver. That's where the river flows south. Way down there. Really pretty spot. It looks like they're filling a lock up. Could be a boat coming down. I don't know. There wasn't any up there when I rode down here this morning. That's the gate to the lock there. It's two locks in one here. They go up 11 and immediately into 12. It's because it's a high altitude situation here. You can see the water leaking out there. Pretty cool. And there's the path I ride down, just to the left of the bike there, just beyond the bike. So I get down here, bit of a hill there. Like I say, it's two locks in one here because of the elevation. So identity, what does identity mean? I hope you guys have done your own due diligence on this and not taking my word for anything, but first off, I suggest you watch all of our rescission videos so you have the full context of what I'm talking about here. And see that playlist, rescission playlist on our YouTube channel. Another thing, years ago, I think it was 2009, I met with the OPP, Ontario Provincial Police Commander in Minden, Ontario. And they met with them and I dropped off, so we had a scheduled meeting there and I walked in there and I dropped down a little package of information. We dealt with them before in the grocery store situation there. So I put a package down. He says, what's this all about, Vic? He says, oh, we just want to be free. We want to be left alone. Here's what he says. He says, then why do you keep identifying yourself with the birth certificate? I kid you not. This is the guy that wears the white shirt, the commander. So I'm not saying they all know, but at some level they know. But just for the record here and clarity, they're not taxing, fining, or billing you. They tax and bill and fine the register name that is not you. Remember, the government doesn't register people. The birth certificate's not evidence of your identity. Think on that. If you're not there, not John Paul Smith, which is what I'm showing you in these videos, that method of funding your slave masters ends or can end if you enact this information. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Think it through. Their gravy train would come to an end. In other words, so long as the benefactor acts like a trustee, debtor, slave, citizen, he, she will never be liberated, legally speaking. Identity document is defined in the Criminal Code of Canada and includes birth certificates, so don't let anybody tell you a birth certificate's not an identity document. Not here in Canada anyhow. You have to check your local laws for that sort of thing. Not that you need it. We already know it's an identity document. It maybe uses identity, right? So let's go through the meaning of identity so you get what I'm saying here. Identity, the fact or condition of being the same as something else. That's from Free Online Dictionary. Old Webster's identity, sameness. Sameness is distinguished from similitude and diversity. Etymology Online, sameness, oneness, state of being the same. See, they see, as far as they're concerned, you and the name are one and the same. Ridiculous, but that's their perspective, right? It is what it is. It's good to know that. And like I say, it's a presumption, and it's a easily rebuttable or overcome presumption. From medieval Latin, sameness, ultimately from Latin, the same. You and the name are one and the same. That's what they say. That's their perception. That's what they want too. Now here's the other one. Modern day Webster's, the condition of being the same with something described or asserted. John Paul Smith, the courtroom number one. John Paul Smith, the courtroom number one. John Paul Smith, the courtroom number one. There's what they're asserting. They want you to be the same. They want you to appear to be John Paul Smith. They need you to appear to be John Paul Smith in order to stick it to you. That's how they fund the gravy train. I just went to the internet and pulled out this stuff off here. And we have some synonyms: similarity, identicalness, resemblance, sameness, oneness. Sameness, oneness. You and the name are one and the same. That's their perception. Anyhow. So can it be any more evident that you and the name on the birth certificate are not one and the same? In order to pass off the liability on you, they need to be you to be at oneness with the name. They need you to sign or say to the effect, I am John Paul Smith, and or that you act as a trustee. Think about this. You don't own any of the property in that name. You're not the beneficiary, you're not the beneficial owner. But you've got the certificate and you're the one doing the work that's funding the whole thing. So either you're their benefactor or trustee. Of course, they don't want you to know any of that. They want you to be John Paul Smith. And it's in their ignorance or absence of knowledge here, so lack of knowledge. And as far as being the trustee, we can work with that. If they want us to be the trustee, oh yeah, remember this, the trustee has the right to be paid. I'm not saying you want to be the trustee, but it's a leveraging tool. Furthermore, here's a big one, and I went to the Supreme Court of Canada website, the decisions page, and searched benefactor. And guess what? Benefactor has right of subrogation, and this is the kind of stuff you guys ought to be doing. When you hear words, you should be digging into these things, looking at the court. The reason I like to go to the Supreme Court of Canada, it's the highest court. All their rulings are binding on all the other courts. Those are the wise guys, and so they talk in several cases about benefactor, and the benefactor has the right of subrogation, but the benefactor has to claim it. In one particular case, the guy didn't claim it. The court knew that he had a right of subrogation as the benefactor, but he didn't claim it. And of course, they're not going to do it for him. So if you understand subrogation, understand what I'm saying on the benefactor, who's the grantor, who's the one providing all the funding. Remember, you're the one doing the work here. It's your energy. It's not coming from anywhere else, and don't let anyone tell you differently. So the benefactor, with knowing he has right of subrogation, that's what levels the playing field. That's what can stop them from taking from you. think about that. Remember, the final objective of all this is to get them to perform so you don't have to. And be forewarned here, I cannot and will not give full particulars in these videos, so don't go running just simply on what you hear in these videos. I mean, I don't know what you know, so that's up to you what you do, but I always tell people, wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And if you'd like to partake in conversations on this for further enlightenment, you're going to have to get our information package so you can join in our Zoom meetings. You'll find the information about that below this video. Click on the More button under this video. You'll see a link to access our information about our information packages, as well as the fee, content, so on and so forth. And a link to our blog. If you want to contact us, you can contact us through the blog. And please, if you do go to the blog, read what it says there. Pretty straightforward. So anyhow, that's a little rundown there in the meaning of the word identity. So when they say it's not evidence of your identity, it's proof that you and the name are not one and the same. And please like and subscribe to this video, and if you know anyone that this video may help, please pass it along. I'm not done yet. These wires really coming out of there now. They haven't opened the gates, just obviously they're not watertight, obviously. They leak. But that's why I can tell they're filling up the lock. Chances are a boat's coming in there. Man, can't believe the weather. Other than we're lacking rain, seriously, big time. The weather's just been stunning. Last week was a little warm. I was away for the week at the Masters of Disaster. That would be my grandsons. Everybody's grandsons. I introduced when I meet other people's grandsons. I say, you guys are Masters of Disasters, aren't you? And they all get a big smile on their face and go, yeah. God love them. Anyhow, in our first video, Introduction to Trust, Estates and Securities, we mentioned the registration of live birth document as a foundation security. And the government has that. They have it. It's titled to an estate, to your estate. And you have a birth certificate. It is not evidence of your identity, but is evidence of your interest. They got title to your estate, and you've got a certificate evidencing that interest. Benefactor 1 contributing, right of subrogation. Are you with me? Oh, now they're letting the water out. I'll show you that. Chances are something is pulled into the lock. That's the water gushing out there. Just open little gates. It's all manual. I shouldn't say all of them. Some locks are mechanical, some locks are electrical. Quite a few of them are manual labor required to open and close the gates, to open and shut and open the water control mechanisms, so on and so forth. So when they registered the birth, they took the title to your estate. We all ought to know that by now, including all the reclaiming securities people. They have that, and you have a document that is not evidence of your identity, but you can see why they want you to use it as evidence of your identity, because they need to get to your estate, the ultimate security, to make all their financial instruments good. They need to get there through you. It's in the absence of the knowledge and the truth of what's going on here that we've never stood up and, acknowledge the birth certificate not as evidence of our identity, but evidence of our interest. And the benefactor for sure has an interest. Come on. So you got the long form, the certified copy of the registration of birth. They have that. It's mom or dad, certified it true and correct, put a name on there. Remember now, and speaking for myself, mine has given names on there and surname. So given names is one name and surnames is another. So that's two different kinds of names. And then when you get to the birth certificate, they call that a legal name. So technically we're talking about three names. We're talking about given names, we're talking about surname, and then we're talking about a legal name, which is a combination of the given names and the surname. Now that's not the same for a lot of people. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. The main thing is to understand that they have the legal title to your estate, they have it. And you have a birth certificate that evidences your interest, not your identity, which makes you're not the owner of the property in the name on the certificate. Legally speaking, they are. And lo and behold, in Canada, the king's the owner. An owner in this context means as trustee. Man, I can't, this weather's just been stellar every day. With the exception of some real hot days. Water's just about done. So lots for you to think about there, folks, but it's pretty straightforward. And the thing is here is if people want to be free to see all the nonsense going around with all the politics around the planet, it's like they're all recognizing now that you and I are just a gravy train. Taking full advantage of it, and people in their ignorance and fear, whatever, don't do anything about it. It's my McCafe. McDonald's coffee. Was a fan of Tim's. I really do like the McDonald's coffee better now, but not part of the conversation. It's like I've been saying from the odd time in some of our videos, they have, I'm not going to use the term jurisdictional issues here, but all financial. It's like the whole system is the bank, and they're just tapping in every man and woman on the planet to access our states, which is a security, to make all of their securities good. And we're on the hook for all of that. Not on paper, but we're the one providing the labor, right? We're the one going to work and doing the work. We're not being paid for any of that. Especially when you understand this birth certificate's not evidence of your identity, so it's not your income. You're not the owner of the property. You're not the beneficial owner. None of that stuff. Everything people think they are in legal wonderland, it's not true. To have a great opportunity here, if people wake up sooner than later, before these doofuses, these political people go nuts further. They say no, you can set whatever fines. They're charging people $25,000 if they go in the woods here in some parts of Canada because of the fires. And I agree with staying out of the woods with the fire part, because there are idiots out there that do throw cigarettes out in the woods. But as far as paying the fine, like I said, they're not taxing or billing or fining you. Not at all. Well, let me rephrase that. Could be, depends what you do with that. I.e., for example, if you produce the birth certificate, this is not evidence of my identity. Yep, here's an identity document. You have to see evidence of identity or an identity document to have any identification on me. Here it is. But I'm not presenting it as evidence of my identity, because that's not what it is. So go ahead and make your bill. Go ahead and make your fine. Not my problem. Not evidence of my identity. I'm not John Paul Smith. That's who they're going to charge, right? That's what the name they're going to put on the tickets, the fines, the taxes, all of that stuff. So I think it'd be really wise if you, again, I don't know what you know, get our information package so you can partake in our Zoom meetings and you can ask questions and listen in, get access to the recordings and get educated on this. And sooner, like I said, it's, from my perspective, what's going on the planet, I think a lot of people are aware of that. All these political guys are just running ramshot over everything and everybody. If it's good for the people, can't have it. Yep, there is a boat in there. And here it comes. There it is. Haha. Lay boat. I'm just about out of juice here. The camera's just about out of juice. I think I've said everything I had to say, and God bless you, love you. Letter God never fails. Again, if you want further information, click on the more button under this video. There's links there to access information, link there to access our blog, www.restorethekingdomofgod.blogspot.com. Letter God never fails. Love you. Take care. God bless. Ciao for now.